Welcome everyone to the FATED Connections Path of Exile community podcast. We're a little bit lagging right now, the technology is not there, but I welcome you all. I have no idea why this is happening. Hope everything sounds great on your end, guys. Wow. Well, I hope everyone is having a great league start. We're going to pause this now. And I believe we have some performance problems with the game, but we had a great league start so far. And we're going to talk all about 3.22 Trial of the Ancestors. I wish the performance was a little bit better, but I just closed the game in the background and now everything goes super smooth. And I hope our guests are arriving soon as well. Let's get in our co-host Baylor Mage if he is ready, assuming he's ready. Let's go. Yo, how are you doing, Baylor?
Hello. Great.
Good to see and hear you.
Fantastic. I want to do nothing but play more.
That's very great. And that's what we're gonna let you do right after our 2 hours of a little bit first impressions discussion in regards to the league and the start and everything. You seem very hyped. I've seen one of the thumbnails.
I'm sorry. Did I lead you the impression that I was gonna stop playing for this podcast?
No, I've given up on that long time ago.
I am currently mapping.
All right. Well, and for this podcast, we have guests, and one of them is no other than the conceiver of the Forbidden Build series, one of the YouTubers in our Path of Exile community that you'll most likely be able to recognize by name, and it's the one and only Joseph. I hope Joseph is ready to join us here on stage. Welcome. How are you doing?
Salutations, Exile.
Amazing. Great. Thank you for giving us that. I didn't ask for that. I was hoping you'd do it, but
at this point I have a button on my soundboard for it because people request it so often.
So wait, that was not you live right now? That was just the soundboard button.
And give me a minute and I probably could, but no, that was just the soundboard.
It's still just a recording of you, so
yeah, I mean, it's a recording of me, so I did it at some point.
Yep.
That's fair. And of course, we can't be complete for a league start stream podcast without the one and only Lighty, who is also joining us on short notice here.
Hello.
How's it going, sir?
Hello.
I'm trying to get my virtual background going, but I keep messing up.
It always takes 10-20 minutes.
I'm trying to find a good one.
You're not going to be the Duke again?
No. What the fuck is this?
Pirate Lighty. Yeah. So, well, we can jump right in, or do you have anything to say? You said you want to prepare a preamble, something, Lighty, a disclaimer for your takes. I think you said something like that.
I just said I promise that I'll have something positive to say for every one negative thing I have to say. That's the only preamble.
Someone says tell Lighty he's on webcam mic.
Am I?
Are you on the webcam mic?
Yeah, you might.
Seems echoey.
Not good enough.
And regardless of
I am
the Yeti. Thank you, Death Dragon 58 in Twitch chat.
There we go.
Wow. What a difference.
Wow, what a difference.
He was trying to scam us here, guys. Yeah, but you didn't let him get away with it.
I'm back.
Well, we're all back. Should we quickly let people know what we built for this league start in this lovely Path of Exile game? I think Lighty wants to go first. You have a build choice video. I watched the video. I forgot what you actually picked for the build start, but I remember the video of you throwing darts and shooting.
Shooting arrows, but yes,
arrows. Yeah.
Well, so I got Cobra Lash Assassin. That was what my league start build was. Thankfully, I got to maps, and my third map I dropped to Vixens, so I instantly rerolled, and my starter build did exactly what a good starter build does. Got me something better, and then I got to abandon playing Cobra Lash within 24 hours. That was great.
Does that not count as cheating?
No, it's exactly what starter build's supposed to do. You know,
Usually not in 24 hours, though.
well, my third map dropped to Vic. What am I gonna do? Say no? Everyone in chat was spamming re-roll asshole, so I had to instantly re-roll.
Yeah,
I was in maps for less than 30 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, I get to enjoy mapping now." And that's like, "Oh, Vixens, okay, re-rolling."
Awesome. So now you're impending doom or what with Vixens? What is the build?
Yes, I've been playing impending doom, occultist. The doom blast is the actual damaging component, but you just walk around at level 36. You can put it on, and then you just autopilot through like the entire game. You just tap right click, which has tip chains, and there's it puts a curse, and then 3 more curses dump, and everything dies, and then explosions and poisons, and it's all very, very easy. Life has been very easy these past 3 days. Much better than Cobra Lash Assassin.
Yeah, that doesn't sound pleasurable.
No,
I can make Cobra Lash work, but I don't know if I'd want to play a Cobra Lash Assassin.
Yeah, it's just if you read Cobra Lash, you get the impression it has everything going for it. It has like built-in perfect agony, kind of. It has free chains. It has scaling, conversion, but it just doesn't do good.
Yep.
But Vixens do very good. I've been enjoying that big time.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about how your league start has been saved by the drop of 1 pair of unique gloves, because I can very much relate to that. But I'll first let Valor give us his build, and then Joseph, who I presume has the most interesting answer, and then I'll go with mine. Valor, what did you league start with?
I went like everybody else because I'm a metacuck slave. I went with a lightning arrow Deadeye, except for one thing. I was supposed to be playing a lightning arrow raider. My whole path of building is planned as a raider. I had a plan of how it was going to be a raider, and then I got to normal lab and hit Deadeye out of habit and didn't even notice until like Act 6 or something. And I was like, oh no, I meant to be a raider. And then I was just like, oh well, fuck it, I guess I'm a Deadeye now. And I just stayed Deadeye.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Unbelievable. So, what's the build, Joseph? What did you do?
Yesterday, I got, not yesterday, day before yesterday, I got raided by Captain Lance with like 800 viewers, and so I was like, okay, I need to explain my build, but I'm like playing, and the 200 or so people that were already watching already know the build, so I'll be brief. And then I proceeded to take 20 minutes to explain the build. So, start with the very basics. It's a poison proliferation pathfinder. So I started leveling with Caustic Arrow, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch to Poisonous Concoction because I've done that before and it was pretty good. And I did exactly 0 damage. So yesterday I was like, how much is a Darkscorn? And it was 4 chaos, so I bought Darkscorn, and now I'm back to Vol Caustic Arrow, just because I'm trying to use the exact same tree as the final build, and I'm very stubborn. It's like, I know the item that's in the final build doesn't fit at the moment, but I want to equip it. So I have a Tainted Pact equipped and no sources of Life Leech.
That's a problem.
So it's just allocates beef. That is my amulet slot. It has 30 strength on it and no other good stats. So I'll try to explain more briefly this time the build. So Tainted Pact means while you're leeching, chaos damage over time that you take heals you instead. So the goal is to have 100% leech uptime and take a bunch of chaos damage over time. So theoretically, if you have 100% leech uptime and a lot of poison DPS, and you use the golden rule to reflect poisons to yourself, you can have dot cap healing. You can have 31 million healing per second.
As long as you don't run out of leech and then insta.
As long as you don't run out of leech. So the question becomes, how do you have 100% leech uptime? So there is a flask mod that lets you take 15% of damage taken leeched as life. And so if you have 100% uptime on that flask, and I have 100% increased flask effect, so it's actually 30% of damage taken leeched as life. And I have a skeleton heartbound loop going, so every 0.23 seconds I take 400-ish damage per skeleton, and that ends up 100% leech uptime. And you use that to drive a spellcast loop. Now, usually my spellcast loop is like spam 20 spells per second all over the place. This time, it's just the skeletons, curses, Forbidden Rite just to drive the loop faster, but it's not going to proc a full level 20 cast and damage taken every quarter of a second like it usually does. The most interesting part of the build is how it's going to sustain the spellcast loop, because usually you have to get like 100% recoup or just a bunch of permanent ward. So this build is using the Keystone Shield, the Mahuzadal's Machination. So that's another thing you need for 100% leech uptime. You need your life leech to not end on full life, and that's one of the things that the shield does. And so it also has Divine Flesh, so 50% of elemental damage is taken as chaos damage, which means elemental damage over time, as long as we have less chaos resistance than we have elemental resistance, that will heal us. So you can stand in the Shaper Beam and it will heal you instead. You can stand in the Shaper's Volatile Anomalies and it will heal you instead. So essentially, the goal is to have low chaos resistance and high elemental resistances, so that you heal more, which means you can use Righteous Fire and the Uber Exarch Boots Annihilation's Approach, which does 10,000 fire damage per second to give you permanent adrenaline. So you end up healing like 7,000 per second just from those two things. And that's almost enough to counteract the spellcast loop by itself. If you're doing level 20 cast damage taken 4 times per second, that's like 13,000 self damage per second, so it's a little over half. But mine isn't going to go that fast, and I have a little bit of recoup. I have like 24% recoup on the build if I don't grab the wheel. So it should be able to sustain itself with no enemies nearby. And then here's the fun part of the build is the defenses are adaptive based on if there are enemies nearby. So if there are no enemies nearby, you want to have the lowest chaos resistance possible so that you sustain the loop just from the Righteous Fire and the Annihilation's Approach. And so when there are enemies nearby, you're taking 50% of elemental as chaos, and you don't want to have negative chaos resistance or you'll just get one shot. So what you do is you have the golden rule, which gives you 1% chaos resistance per poison stack on you. So as you ramp up poison stacks, you're ramping up your healing and your chaos resistance at the same time. So if you have 85% chaos resistance with no enemies nearby and no poisons on you, you'll kill yourself with the loop because your healing won't be as good. But because you have 100 poison stacks on you, your healing is better. You're healing dot cap per second or close to it because of all the chaos resistance. You have a question?
Have you ever just thought, I'm just going to make it like a Cyclone Slayer? Like just ever?
The very first build that I ever made, my plan was to have Claw life gain on hit and the life gain on hit support, and then just attack as fast as possible.
I'm just wondering if you've ever done like something that wasn't complicated, just ever.
The least complicated thing I've done is just a bunch of life gain on hit, attack really fast.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't know what I was doing. It had 2k life. I couldn't get past level 77. That was my very first build.
That sounds familiar for first builds, though.
Yep. I basically ignored life nodes and spec'd only into attack speed. Yeah, so there's more to the build. It actually has quite good defensive layers. It also has because it gets divine flesh from the shield, you can use another timeless jewel. So it has the Karui one that gives you 50% of cold and lightning taken as fire. So you actually take no cold or lightning damage. You take all of it as either fire or chaos. And the build has 88% fire res and 85% chaos res. And it has a ruby flask with 100% increased effect. So that's 40% less fire damage taken. So it's really, really good against elemental and chaos damage. And unfortunately, because of the Heartbound loop, it can't have any physical damage reduction. So instead, it just has 95% chance to evade. Which it turns out in the league mechanic is actually quite good. Because you can be standing there channeling on a totem and have 5 enemies trying to hit you, but you have 95% chance to evade.
Yep. Chance to evade
I
OP.
see.
And the damage just comes from self-casting Forbidden Rite. Like, it's already part of the loop, so you can't also have it again as part of the loop but do damage, so you have to self-cast it. But, 4 casts per second, it does, like, at least 5 million DPS on a very low budget. Forbidden Rite, like, I tried other spells in the POB to see how much damage they did, and Forbidden Rite is at least 10 times better than everything else. It is a ridiculous amount of damage for how little investment I've put into it.
That's crazy. What a mic drop moment. I wish I would have had.
Yeah,
would
how
have
long
gone
was
first.
that? Because the last explanation was longer.
It wasn't 20 minutes. We're only live for 17, so I think you probably had like 7 of that at least. But it was worth it.
I hope you enjoyed my scatterbrained explanation of the build.
I
The
wish I
POB
could have
isn't
shown
out
some
yet.
footage. I was looking
It's-
at whether
I need
whether I can
11
find some.
unique items, and I only have like 3 of them, so I'm still just doing Cossack Arrow.
Yeah.
People, I've been asked about like your builds before, and it's always the same answer. I'm just like, these might not be the best builds you've ever seen power wise, but
Yeah,
they're always going to be the most interesting builds you've ever seen.
I get comments like these
Always
builds,
fun.
like you're misleading new players. I'm like, no, I'm trying to make absolutely clear that these builds are designed to confuse people that have 10,000 hours. That's not something you want a new player to try.
Which they do. Sometimes I look at your builds and I'm like, I've got 25,000 hours, and I'm like, nope, I don't understand. I'll pull out the path of building, like people do with my builds, and I get angry with, and just like close the YouTube video off and be like, I can get it from the path of building, and they'll be like, no, I can't. No, don't know what's going on. I would like to see the thing, please.
People are trying to recreate my most recent build, and it needs such precise calibration. It's like if you don't have exactly enough health and exactly enough chaos resistance and exactly enough physical damage reduction, like I made very clear in the video, at divergent cast and damage taken, you can have a 40% roll on your doppelgangers guys, and if you have a regular cast and damage taken, you can have a 35% roll on your doppelganger guys. And someone messages me like, hey, my build isn't working, and they have a 31% on their doppelganger guys. I'm like, you need every component exactly correct, or it doesn't work. Like this new build, people are like, why haven't you started the loop yet? Why haven't you equipped Golden Rule? And I'm like, I need 11 unique items. If I have 10 of any combination of 10 of the 11 unique items, I will instantly kill myself in hideout with no
In
enemies
game.
nearby.
Okay.
Yeah, that like I said, I don't even feel like going again anymore, but just for context, I followed through with my original plans to do Reap Juggernaut full fire conversion because Chieftain is not that great anymore, and so might as well go Jug. And I was like ready to accept Jug as a no damage ascendancy, right? You get a little bit from the endurance charges scaling, but it's not the biggest bit. But yeah, like from my test run, I knew that you need a lot of cast speed before you transition to make spell echo feel good, and then even then it didn't feel great out of the box, but it slowly got going. And I was like, probably better if I switch to Armor Brand Cremation, like in Act 6, and then go all the way to maps, over level a little bit, and then switch into Reap. But I didn't get any good caster weapons, so I just stayed Spectral Throw all the way until I transitioned to Reap. And this time it went really well because I got the Band-Aid fix handed to me by RNG, and that was Val Caress Bronze Scale Gauntlets. And boy, dude, I hadn't even looked at them, but the new ones now, they give +5 to level of Val gems and -5 to non-Val gems. So I get like 5 levels on my main gem on the Reap, which is like almost 100% more base damage, like really close to it, like maybe 90, maybe 95, but like really solid amount of base damage. So the 4 link is like a 5 link because having like 240% more multipliers is like 100% more, right? And the downside is negligible, the -5 levels. And then the great thing about Reap is also that the Val Reap, it doesn't do great damage. And since I convert all the damage into fire damage, I use Avatar of Fire, so I deal no non-fire damage. The physical dot component completely disappears. But Val Reap only has, I think, 8 seconds soul game prevention. So when you map, you can use it like every 15 seconds, every 16 seconds, and every time you use it, you get onslaught for 20 seconds because of the gloves. So you have permanent onslaught while mapping, and it's so good. I'm so happy. I just run through the maps, chunking with the Reap. And Reap, that's also a great thing. It is the scythe that goes in front of you. It looks a little bit like Cleave, but then it's a spell actually, so it scales with gem levels, and it looks meaty, but it's not, because you can use it all the way to the edge of the screen. It's like a super ranged spell. So I actually fell in love with self-casting again. I'm just like super hyped running through my maps with my jug and reaping everything, and it's been a blast.
Are you in solo self-found, or are you in trade?
Oh no, I'm softcore trade. I can buy a bunch of things. I bought like 2+1 Fist Scepters with cast speed to leverage that level
You can
of
get
scaling.
the Awakened Cascade of the Reap is so insane.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very high demand Awakened gem, but it's extra juicy.
Yeah, true. That may be the play later. I'm just thinking right now, using 3 support gems in the Valkyries, like I'm using Added Fire and Fire Penetration and Spell Echo, and I don't really feel like sacrificing one or the other for
You may want
something else.
Unleash instead of Spell Echo.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I like Echo though. But yeah, Unleash is probably better because you press it once, you walk around, press it, walk around, press it. And with Echo, you need to lock yourself in place. I like the style.
I guess you're a Juggernaut, so you can afford to use Spell Echo.
I think Spell Echo is probably just feels better on bossing, whereas Unleash is probably better for mapping. I don't know.
It depends on if you're memeing for the one-shot the boss, Awaken, Spell Cascade, Unleash, Reap.
I can try it, but like I want to make a very well-rounded build with the Juggernaut. I want to go like Dawnbreaker and stack that with the Timeless Keystone to get like 100% of Cold and Lightning taken as fire, then get the fire resist really high, get the decent amount of Fist to fire. And
yeah, I can't do well-rounded. That's why. So the only reason this build has decent defensive layers is because I discussed the build with someone at ExileCon who knew what they were doing with the defensive layers, and so we collaborated to make this POB.
Nice. No, I really like intricate projects like that. I just can't pull them off. I just want to play the game, right? Like I can't make a complicated build happen.
We're at ExileCon at a bar in Auckland and surrounded by people who are having fun, and it's me and him in a corner talking about a build.
That happened so
Neither
many
of
times.
us drinking.
I had build discussions with like so many people where you just sit down for half an hour and just talk about specific builds or specific interactions. It's great. You don't get to nerd out like that in real life normally.
No, that's true. I will have my how you want to call it, my makeup for not being at ExileCon tomorrow, because tomorrow is the fan meetup in Cologne with Chris Wilson and some other staff members, and we're going to a restaurant. I'm going to be there an hour early and just to see who shows up, and will be cool. I think Octavian is also there, and
nice.
Will be cool to shake some hands and to maybe get my my Lord's Labyrinth book signed here. That would be great. That would be great. That had a Chris Wilson signature on the first page. But yeah, for those of you listening, and I know it's very short notice, and I think GGG only announced this like 10 or 14 days ago. But yeah, there is a meetup happening tomorrow, 7 p.m. local time in Cologne, restaurant Stadtgarten. So yeah, it's in the announcement of the Path of Exile page. So if you can make it, if you live in Cologne nearby, someone on my Discord said that they're pondering whether they're riding the train for 5 hours to get there tomorrow.
Ooh.
I gotta
I'd do
You're
figure
not
out
coming,
how to-
Lighty.
I'm not going to make it, boys.
I'd ride the train for 5 hours for that meetup. No problem.
I had a 16-hour flight to ExileCon, so 5-hour train ride, nothing.
Yep. Don't even need a passport for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, for me, it's not a 5-hour train, right? For me, it's like, literally just bike down to the train station and 30 minutes I'm there. And then on Friday, I'm gonna get to play at the Gamescom. I'm gonna get to play Path of Exile 2, and maybe even some Last Epoch because 11th hour games seem to be there as well. So
Cool.
Pretty cool.
great.
From what I played in the demo, I would recommend trying at least very briefly the Huntress. If it's the same demo, it'll have Herald of Thunder and a Lightning Spear ability, which feels way better than any of the Sorceress's
Everything
lightning
else.
abilities, if I'm honest. The Sorceress kind of exacerbated the issue of getting stun locked to death.
Yeah, I think I saw that much from the gameplay. But I was gonna ask you whether you have any like top tips for me when I get into that, since you already laid hands on it.
If you are going to play Sorceress, which I did for the majority of the demo, there's a big, like, this is a boss they've already showcased in footage. So there's like a big monkey with a big pillar. And
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
you have to like dodge roll out of its slam or it one shots you. And so what I did was there's this giant pillar structure next to where it spawns that's like a big square, and it's not smart enough to go around. It goes straight towards you and gets stuck on the wall. So I hit around corners and used AoE to hit it around the corner and kept doing Ring Around the Rosie because that was far easier than dodge rolling perfectly
Well,
because it tracked you really well.
okay.
It's a bit like a Dark Souls boss problem where if you don't roll with the iframes correctly, it'll just track you and hit you anyway.
Yeah. I have no idea how much I will actually get to play. I hope to get my hands on each of the 4 playthroughs at least once. I mean, so I'm gonna go there very early in the day and stay there all day. So let's just hope it's not too full. But it is a really crowded event after all. So I don't know. No idea.
The only thing I really didn't like about the demo was, so it's a feature in Path of Exile 2 that there are no gem vendors in town. So what gems you have when you start the demo, you should assume that those are the only gems you're going to have. I was on Sorceress for so long because I was trying to get the meta gems that they were showcasing, but you don't get them. There's no gem vendor. You have to get them as a random drop. I only got one support gem, and it was the return support, and I was playing Sorceress, so it wasn't particularly helpful. So the whole time I was trying to make a spellcast loop, but they wouldn't give me the meta gems.
Yeah. Gated behind longer playtime. It's limited to 45 minutes, right? And then it auto resets.
Yeah. It was strangely inconsistent for some people. Like Jim, Cooper, and I went in at the same time and sat down at the same time and played next to each other. Cooper's ended early, so rather than split up and keep playing for the remaining 10 minutes, we just all got up and walked out at the same time.
Wow. Okay, maybe it has to do with load screens or something like that. Maybe some portion of the gameplay doesn't count.
Yeah, I would agree. The boss fights, someone in chat, the bosses felt good during the demo. It was just a little bit clunky if you weren't used to Sorceress. A point that I continue to hammer home is that these demo characters were like level 32 or something in some cases, and so you shouldn't expect them to be stun immune and fast and with lots of cast speed. And so getting stunlocked to death by a swarm of white mobs is perfectly reasonable for a level 32 sorceress, even in Path of Exile 1.
Reasonable. That's my normal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I get stunned at level 2 by rowers to death every league.
Oh, yep, that happened to me this league again.
Oh, I got through much of that so easily this time.
I got frozen to death by sand spitters.
Nice.
Oh, they're awful. Ugh. Oh, sometimes also in Submerged, these guys that throw that projectile that's not a projectile, but the ice thing that did so much damage. Anyway, did any one of you guys do the leap mechanic while leveling?
Unfortunately, I did. Yeah.
No.
I restrained myself this time. I waited until I was like level 75 to try the monster level 51 one, and I got to, I think, the third battle before I got completely destroyed because my character wasn't good enough at drawing all the aggro, and their guys are better than your guys in most cases. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I draw the aggro of like 7 people, I'm killing them, I'm channeling this totem, and all of my totems are already dead.
I did it while leveling as every silver coin dropped for about 2 to 3 hours.
Ooh.
And it was, I don't know what, I don't know why I expected anything else, but it was a colossal waste of time. No
Yeah.
experience, no loot beyond punishing. Even the process at that point was like before information spread, like incredibly unintuitive to like how to actually engage with it. And
Took me a good 5 minutes to figure out how to channel the totem.
Yeah.
I figured that one out. I at first thought you could just tap it, but then you had to hold it, and I was like, oh, that's right, Crucible, nice meme. And then kind of all, it made sense. But no, I mean it's there's also something a bit unfortunate about a mechanic where the entry cost is the same at level 2 as level 100 because it's going to incentivize me to not engage with it while leveling. And especially when I think of other mechanics that were far more engaging and worthwhile while leveling, such as like ritual or ultimatum, or two that come to mind, where it's like, yeah, it might be hard to clear, but you could get like a nice little leveling unique early on, and it feels like there's some like light at the end of the tunnel. But after like a couple hours and like some 15-minute engagements where I was just like a war of attrition, where if I lost, I would get nothing. It just felt like it was a real waste of time. And a little bit, it feels like that when I tried again at 70, but now we're trying it at 90 something. I can actually play the game, and it's like it makes more sense. But there's still like I have complaints, but it at least it's doable.
Right. But if we pull that apart, how much of that is because you got better at the mechanic? How much of that is because you build your character more finished? So that
All character,
long distance?
0% better. Really, it's all character. It was you like without going too in depth with the mechanic itself. You fill out your board quite easily after a couple wins. Like the league mechanic is incredibly snowbally, and it's super punishing if you lose your first fight in a tournament. A lot of people are just saying give up if you lose your first fight when you're starting from scratch because you're
just
at
forfeit
such
the
a
next
deficit. Well, it doesn't exist yet, but yeah, you have to just sit there and die, basically, because you're like 7 units down at the second fight then. But once you like win around, you start getting guys, you can kind of snowball it. But then it becomes the inverse problem, which is all right, now the mechanic is totally solved and the actual enemies are scaled to ungodly levels once you start getting your rating higher, and you'll just get one shot and nothing dies. So there's some stuff going on that I haven't figured out, but it seems like there's a lot of wacky scaling occurring that is hard to work around. But that's why decoy totem exists. You can just cheese the mechanic if you wanted to.
I thought of some very good ways to cheese it, but I'm being very stubborn, and I'm like, no, I will play it as intended, and I will kill them with my character that does lots of damage.
So,
but
like,
you can do reverse knockback, torch oak step totems.
Yep,
would be a hilarious way to do it. Just suck all the mobs into one spot,
Mhm.
And then just go channel the totems. You could, I mean, minion builds, we've already figured this out. If you're just playing a minion build, they'll attack your minions instead of your soldiers, and then you just channel the totems.
It does seem like this is going to be like for someone like myself who wants to get every one of the uniques. Like I'm going to have to almost definitely make a build designed for tackling this content, which
Good
I
news.
guess is a little reminiscent, like a kind of Sanctum. I did it like I played the Baylor's SRS build for that. It negated almost all the difficulty of the content. So I'm gonna do probably something similar. You were saying?
The good news is the build to do the new league content is the same as the build to do Sanctum content. So if you want to farm Sanctums and the league mechanic, same thing.
What build is that?
I mean, it's poison SRS, but I think that's what I'd be doing.
Pray
But there are
tell what
others.
build.
There are others.
Yeah.
All the good Sanctum builds are also good for this.
Probably play golems. Like I haven't, obviously minions or totems seem to be pretty proficient at doing this content, so it's going to be like from solo self-found perspective, a bit drop dependent. Like if I snag an astral projector, I'll play Shockwave. If I get, an Ashes or a Covenant, I'll play SRS. It's just going to boil down to one of those type things.
Yeah, but is it really like this a thing that we need to approach with, like a problem that we need to solve by changing the build, or is there something that you could do like in terms of, I don't know, how you approach the mechanic, or is it really a build issue? It's not,
it takes a lot longer if you play defense instead of channel the totems, but it's a lot safer if you play defense instead of channel the totems.
It's also
assuming
like
you have some way to prevent them from just tanking your damage and channeling the totem. That was the problem with my character. I did so little damage that they could ignore me as they were killing my base.
And like compared to Sanctum, this mechanic, although we could, do all the fiddly micromanaging between rounds and put positions, ultimately a lot of what our people decide to do is kind of out of our hands. And it's not as much in Sanctum where it's like there's a rigid set of occurrences here where I could play a build that's better at tackling it. I could use my skill to circumvent this with a better build. I'm just screaming at my screen that the fucking turtle won't move away, in this mechanic. It's like I'm just that's out of my control to a degree. Or for some reason why the guy I put in defense is just stuck in a corner. Like at this point it seems like there's a lot of crangled maybe AI things happening that this could be 5, 6, 7 hot fixes away, but I'm not going to wait around to find out. So
speaking of crangled AI things, dude, I actually was so hyped. I completely was high on the Hopium train for Tormented Spirits with the changes in the patch notes. So I beeline to Tormented Spirits to the node where they can possess you, and
totally broken.
It is so massively ass.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So what happens is the AI change for Tormented Spirits inhabiting enemies and possessing packs is great. That's working fine. But the second you pick up the keystone that they're supposed to possess you, they revert to like this massively docile AI where they basically
run away from you all the time.
And then they'll just not go into you for seconds. And it's like totally defeats the purpose. So it's like on the old AI, or it's like acting in opposition of what the current existing Tormented Spirits do. Like they're avoiding you at all costs almost.
So if you want to get buffed by them, you have to stand still a lot and do like a lot of things that you wouldn't want to do normally if you try to clear the map efficiently, and then ends up like completely destroying the advantage that you get from the 20-second buff. It's just not worth. Absolutely.
Torment itself is great. Seance is insane, like of a node.
Yeah.
Torment's great, but that keystone, thankfully, you don't really have to you could just ignore the left side of Torment, just pick up Seance. That's honestly good enough. Just that 1/4 node is great. But yeah, it was disappointing. I agree.
Yeah, but that's just a quick sidetrack because you were talking about
the second I picked it up within 2 maps, I was like, something is broken. Like something is not working. I was doing ritual, so I had the ritual where all the ghosts spawned, and I'm just like, I'm ready.
Oh, that one doesn't work at all with it. They don't possess you at all. They don't. They just work like regular spirits.
Wait, really? Fuck.
So
I feel
sad.
like there are special spirits, like the one that
Yeah,
spawns
in the ritual, yeah.
for the shore map boss. I feel like
Yeah,
that
but
one would
those
ignore the
those can
keystone.
possess you though. The ones that the shore map boss ones,
It's
they
all
can
it's all
possess
upside
you.
down. It
Man,
seems like it's all upside down.
I was so confident going into that.
Maybe next league. It's fine.
Well, anyway,
I've been using
so-
ghosts a lot without that node, just as like their default ghosts, and
Yeah,
those I'm super happy with. They're actually
yeah.
useful now.
Yeah, AI is great. They're on the move. You see them sometimes like on an
Yeah.
elevation change map. They'll be fucking zooming. They're just like hunting down rares. It's
It's
Definitely
it's
what
like
we've
they
always
actually
dreamed.
mean to get inside things now,
I know.
instead of
When did
just hang
Torment
out on
come
their
out?
own.
how long has it been?
yeah.
6 years, 7 years?
Yeah,
There was a point in
Finally.
my
8
stream.
years.
There was a
Yeah.
point in my stream where I was like, "They fixed it. They fixed Torment.
Yep.
It actually went into the rare."
No, that's
Yeah.
great.
No, I have to say, before I picked up the new keystone, I actually like only encountered one spirit that wasn't able to possess anything before it despawned. But everything else like went in and created dangerous and rewarding situations. I mean,
Yeah, for
potentially rewarding. I mean, they weren't actually rewarding, but the potential was there.
sure. Theoretically. I do find even with the change, they're still not tanky enough for me. I'm still
Oh,
one
yeah, I
shotting
was
them in tier
expecting,
16s.
I think there's something wrong with the tapering down damage, the reduced damage taken debuff or something like that. It's sometimes it activates like way too early before you actually like saw them, and then later when you run into them, they just drop dead.
Yeah, it
think
feels like
they load
their
in.
timer is ticking before you've seen them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
You know how
That
you
should
can
only-
see mobs are active like a total of 3 screens away from your character?
Something like
it's,
that. Yeah.
It's that.
Are you an
feels like that.
ultra wide gamer? Are you gaming an ultra wide?
It
Well, no.
seems worse than usual though.
Yeah, just they're active like 3 screens away from your character, even if you can't see them. So I suspect it's like out there that it's working.
Ultra
Because if
wides
you're
against
booking
TOS.
it, if you're booking it like moving, then that doesn't happen, and they're always super tanky. But if you're hanging around somewhere for a little bit, then you can walk into ghosts you can one shot. So
Tell you what though, I got Profane Bloom. They're not surviving no matter what. They still get popped. Even the second I see them on screen, if they're next to like a rare, it's like it's game over. Which is like I wish they would have gone into it, but overall, I really have no complaints about Torment after the change. Like the Keystone's a bummer, but overall, this is like leaps and bounds better than it used to be.
oh
Yeah. Absolutely happy with it. So back to the league mechanic. What are your go-to strategies? I mean, like we all have played a couple of days now, and probably
Flank.
yeah.
Flankers.
What do they even do? Like maybe we could be clear about that one. So the flankers, they just spawn and they run through and try to channel enemy totems. Like they're not engaging in
their-
any
As
fight.
opposed to attackers and defenders, which go to the center and die.
Yeah.
yes.
The strat basically for and this is like again, this works until it doesn't, so take it with a grain. But you basically, if you just have 4 flankers and then 4 convoys around you, and you just camp on your base, then you let your flankers do their job, you win like 95% of your engagements. But eventually, like the game just seems to outscale you as you progress up, whatever that you're scaling to is now, and then things start to one-shot you. They start to not die. That's when it gets a little hairy, but that seems to work for the most part. Like I've won like 8 tournaments in a row without failing because of it. Could be a skill issue. In the wrong league. That's the skill issue. Being hardcore.
Yeah. So attackers and defenders, you said, just go into the middle and die. Or like, is there value in those positions? I feel like I'd always like my defenders full so I can like roam a little bit more. But yeah, they do die a lot. Unfortunately, I find myself going back to the own base and defending all the time.
I think the problem with the defenders, from my experience so far, has been the most important role to keep alive would be your flankers, and they typically seem to be the ones that get targeted first because they're more kind of in the forefront. And the defenders really don't seem to give a shit about my flankers most of the time. So I'll have my flankers respawn after a death. They'll come back. Someone's on the flanker totem, and the defenders are just chilling in the back, like protecting my totem. But I don't care about my totem. I care about my flankers because without them, I don't win.
Yeah.
So the defender A, I wish I could I don't know why we can't just set the AI and then just put them wherever we want them, like a screen. That would have been I think so much, better in a way. Like if they
15
just gave us
flankers.
if it was like a 10 by 10 grid and we could just pick a role and pick a position, that would
10
make more
flankers
sense.
for sure.
Sure. But they could balance it around that, I mean, obviously a meta would arise, but the modularity seems a bit stiff, from what we can tell them to do.
Well, I mean, it is supposed to be an auto battler, so kind of defeats the purpose if
definitely
you
not
can
The
tell them what to
enemy
do.
is always so much more powerful than you that you are 90% of the work.
Yep.
It does
Enemies
feel
are
like that at
insanely more
times.
powerful.
Definitely it's not capturing, for me at least, it's not capturing auto battler vibes at all. Sanctum,
Yeah.
I had complaints about it, but I understand, it felt roguelike-y at times. This doesn't feel I mean, I don't know if, to be fair, in my mind, this could be a Nelson Mandela thing. I don't remember if they ever even said it was going to be an auto battler, or we just all have been saying this forever.
Yeah, we
Did
saw the
they say
screen
it or did we
auto
say it?
battler.
I don't know who said it first, but it definitely
I
is
thought they said it. Did Blight feel like a tower defense to you?
No, but it probably
You
does with the
could go
Keystone
out
now.
of your way to make it a tower defense.
Blight Ravaged feels like a tower defense because you don't
Mm.
matter that much in Blight Ravaged as much as positioning and your towers. But regular Blight maps, I don't know.
Oh, I've
But
done
in
Blight
this
Ravaged
league
in Party and
mechanic,
BKL.
it feels like very little of my auto battler decisions matter towards the outcome.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really wish there was an actual auto button, it played your character for you during this, and you put your
take
put
control
your
of my
position to stuff.
character.
Yeah, kind of
Make me a flanker.
Because then it would just be us yelling at our screens that our characters don't do what we want them to do. That would be the real
It
auto
would at
battler
least be
experience.
entertaining.
It would be hilarious. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd like it forever, but it would be hilarious.
I'd do it twice.
Well, it only lasts 3 months, no problem. You don't have to like it forever.
My biggest problem with this league mechanic so far is only that I don't find it rewarding. I actually love it. I want to do it. I want to spend a bunch of time here. And I feel like Sanctum, when it came out, had nailed rewards. It was way better than Alk Go mapping, but it wasn't as good as Super Giga High Juice. Right? It was in the middle between
I would agree.
a decent speed mapping Alk Go strat, but not Super Juice. And if you're going to bring me completely out of maps, so I'm not progressing anything else at all except that, that's
And
the
you're
sweet
taking
spot
away-
you've got to hit.
You're taking away all the potential XP that I can gain because there's
Oh,
zero
no
XP
experience.
in the Trial of the
Yeah.
Ancestors.
So that's the sweet spot you've got to hit. But right now, with no strategy involved at all and just Alk Go mapping, you're making more money. So it's not rewarding at all. And I hope they fix that because it's really fucking fun. It's really fun.
I don't know. I just thought I had a bad sample, right? Because
No.
I've heard from other people that there were rewards, right? Like Ziggy D had this one match where he got a divine in the end.
Oh, I've got no divine too.
Okay.
It took
But
4.5
just wasn't
hours.
enough.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's called Munkle Math. Maybe it's sample size. You didn't recorded one video and got one divine. One divine per map, confirmed.
Yeah, it's not that there's not a reward there. It's the amount of time it takes to get that reward.
Someone did a really good Reddit write-up on that. It's the least rewarding mechanic, currency-wise and experience-wise, ever.
Well, experience-wise, for sure.
Yeah, but
Can't
that's
less
the
than
most important part. So I didn't really like Sanctum, but without question, it was pumping out currency, sextant, stack decks, raw currency. There's unique rewards. This to me has the holy trifecta of being not experience rewarding, not loot rewarding, and I don't like it. So I'm just forced, a little bit
That's
forced
a bad
into
combination.
forced to shit, have to wipe over here, but it's fine.
Yeah, so we've
hopefully
got
they patch
someone saying, this is Reddit's reaction to every league is it's not rewarding enough and I don't like it and it probably doesn't give good experience. I mean, we're trying to put it in context with other leagues instead of just saying it's bad and I don't like it.
It's quantifiable though.
Yeah, this is very quantified. 0 is a very easy number to understand. 0 experience. We don't need to debate that.
Yeah.
Rewarding, definitely less so than Sanctum. I don't think anyone can argue otherwise. Time consumed varies wildly with everyone's build. I will tell you, with my build, it took me a good 10-15 minutes to very slowly lose every individual battle.
Yeah.
And that battle was for 4 alteration orbs.
I've been on one battle right now for what feels like 15 minutes.
Yeah. They do tend to go very long if you can't decide them quickly, and then you can still lose them in the very end. I in the beginning, I felt like there was an easy tipping point from which on I feel like I could still get to defeat, but now that the enemies are so strong that like when I make a mistake, I get knocked out. Well, it's tricky at times. But yeah, is there any Sanctum
Someone
is
in chat-
objectively more fun than this for everyone, or is
Someone
there
in chat
people?
is saying that at a high enough rank, you do actually get experience.
Really? Okay.
You get
Okay.
experience,
For
but just
single
it's
tourney wins.
relative to not like compared to just mapping. It's not even close.
He said he got a
Time-wise.
full level from 85 to 86 from one tourney win.
That would be weird, honestly, because for me, I
Hmm.
was excusing the no XP in my head because in hardcore you can't die there, right? So it's like it makes sense that you don't
Except
get XP
on day one.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
really? Did they have
Yeah.
problems
Yeah.
with it? Or you
People were
died-
dying in hardcore.
People died in hardcore and then they died in real life.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
be alive when the round ends to get experience. That makes sense.
Okay.
It is technically
already
very
spreading
safe XP
misinformation.
gain because you don't ever lose XP. So if you get thousands of silver coins and go really, really slowly, you will eventually get level 100.
Sure.
All right. That's my strat for Ruthless.
Is there a way to
Get
reset your
50,000
rank?
silver coins in Ruthless.
Can you
I mean, if you
reset your
lose, it goes down, right? I assume.
Yeah, so I'm saying you're gonna reach a point though where like you kind of stagnate rank where you're like winning and losing 50-50 eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
One would
But there's
assume.
no way to like reset
Minus
it. in a way.
5 rank for a tournament loss? That's so low.
It's plus 12 for a win, so even at 50-50, your rank goes up easy.
Yep, just like TFT, I assume. That's how it works in League of Legends.
Okay. Well, I guess I need to find out more. And then another thing
As
I
always,
wanted to
play
ask,
more, learn more.
how do you guys go about buying the different things from the other vendors in the Kurui Afterlife or whatever it's called there? Because you can, during a match or during a tournament, you can easily like ramp up more currency than like you have spots to put warriors on, right? And so you go and because people told me I should sell my lower value ones, and I didn't
Yeah.
really quite understand that, but now I figured out like that you can sell them to anyone you want and generate that kind of currency, so you can like get the good ones from somewhere else. But is there any like how do
There's
you
some-
approach this?
There's some solved ones like the Stormhawk is on flank is super powerful. The War Master on defense and convoy super strong. I think within a week it'll be like these are the 2 NPCs you talk to and the 3 people you buy, and then that's the mechanic. But
Right.
and there's a couple items are very good. There's one that gives them GMP, or there's one that gives them grasping vines for everything around it. That's insane. I mean there's a big value between the useful people and the not useful people.
Okay, so this might be a little bit embarrassing, but how do you actually use equipment? Like, because I see that on the left side you have. Well, by the way, the screen is beautifully made. Before you start a round, the one with the positions. Did you guys notice that this is actually like in-game footage of like the way above the arena, because you can see your character and really small in the middle there.
Yep,
it's
That's
actually
really cool effect. I love when they do that.
So you have when you buy items, they go you drag them to the right side, and then you buy
And the
units, you drag them to the
equipment,
left side. Yeah,
exactly.
So the items go to the right, and then you have to drag them to the left in the slot next to the people. It's a little weird. You can't just drag them straight into the slots. You have to go to the right,
drag them
then
into
to the
the
left.
people. Oh, I
You
have to
can.
give the items to people.
Yeah, but you have to drag them to the right first to put them in the inventory section, and then drag them to your character screens for people.
Yeah,
Okay.
Twitch Chat had to coach me through that.
It's weird. It's weird though, because like kind of it's a little hidden. I'm not like the UI is fine for this, but the tutorial is kind of non-existent. I feel like But that's Path, I guess. Also,
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. What tutorial?
yeah.
Right, because I haven't used any equipment, and I feel like I'm at a point
it's
where I
big.
need to
It's
use
very
the
strong,
equipment
yeah.
yeah.
Even Navali sells each round. You could purchase one of the meats, the big chunk of meats, and those just double the life of a unit. So at the very minimum, you could put that on all your people if you had nothing else to put on, and that makes a decent damage and decent chunk in like survivability. So everything just goes better when everyone has double life, basically.
You reckon that there's like some unfair like enemy advantage scaling going on because everyone said that enemies are way stronger than you, or do they just have more resources and like do they have equipment for every unit every round?
They definitely
Yes,
start better
I
than
think.
you. I think you're supposed to be able to get better units and equipment than the enemy if you play it really well. But definitely, like, in terms of power level, like their general, their guy that you're supposed to be 1v1ing, some of them are pretty powerful.
Their respawn time is so much faster than yours.
Oh, yes.
For the
It
main
is
person.
definitely weighted
1
against
second.
you.
Like it's
Because
bad.
they expect you to eventually be able to figure it out and like completely cheese the mechanic. So it makes sense for it to be weighted against you initially, and then as you get better at it and get better stuff and your character levels up, eventually you'll be able to crush it. But this early, it feels bad.
Yeah. I don't like how there's no permanent progression though, which I wish there was.
Yeah. These auto battlers usually have some sort of meta progression, don't they? Like a little bit of.
Does the rank not count?
It just makes it harder. It doesn't make
The rank,
me
the
stronger.
ranks actually
Right?
it's a deficit
yeah,
because if you were to
it doesn't
lose a
make you
tournament,
better. I guess the
yeah,
rewards are
then
better.
you're starting off worse than ever with the
Yeah,
same.
that's
starters
a
that you
question I
started with.
also had, because I heard that from other people that as your rank goes higher, that's when the better rewards come in. Can you confirm or deny that?
This is what happened with Sanctum, where it's like you're
seen
playing a
these.
roguelike, you're supposed to get more powerful as you go on, but usually you get more afflictions than boons.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So
like the
you end
same
up
with
getting
the
worse.
power fantasy and all of these RPGs and stuff like that. Yeah, you're supposed to get stronger, but I mean, enemies also get stronger. So in the end, it's just the game gets more complex over time. But the gameplay doesn't change all that much.
Someone said that at higher ranks, your starting default characters become better, but I'm pretty sure they don't become better, like good enough to make that a difference. Like, I don't think they suddenly outscale the enemy.
No.
Also, you have to get
Sure
there,
not.
Yeah, you have to get there.
and that's the level of sync that I think already probably turns off a huge chunk of people.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I just hope is that we get significant reward buffs. Like, even if they made it 4 or 5 times as rewarding, that still might not be enough.
Maybe they're just like...
The mechanic is
your
so
reward
fun.
gets
I
better
wanna
with
spend time
rank.
here.
They calibrated it for people to have like 4,000 rank or something by the end of the league. Like it theoretically
Possible.
could just keep going up.
Definitely never getting there. If we, like, because I can't spend time here, I'm losing money.
That is an issue. You have to invest very heavily into the time. 500 rank from finishing the end game grind. Yeah, 4,000's not happening.
End game grind is only 500. That's insane. Okay.
I think they achieved it by only getting 500, but 500 was not the challenge.
I gotta look.
Again, I'm getting all of this information from Twitch chat.
Yep, I'm looking. Or at least I'm trying to
All right.
win 150 matches while having at least 250 ranking.
Yep, so you could do that at 500.
Hmm.
I mean, unless there's something substantial locked behind having rank that high, I don't really see how the reward is going to scale appropriately. But
Well, maybe you get the better tattoos at a higher rank. Like, has anyone seen any of the good tattoos that change the big passive skills? The big
Not yet.
attribute passive skills?
I saw
Well-
one on Reddit.
all the omens seem quite bad from what I've seen. But again, like I'm sure all of this is beyond heavily weighted currently.
Hmm.
I haven't seen any tattoos I would have used. I have a chunk now, but I'm not. Or they just have stats.
Yeah, I applied some. I got some life recovery from Flask. I got some all res, some flat fizz, and I have the killing blows have chance to consume corpses to recover 10% of max life because I thought that fit well with my build for clearing. Didn't really feel bad to give up 10 int for that, but yeah, I don't have anything like mind blowing yet, where I'm like, oh yeah, game changer. This warrants spending hours and hours in this mechanic that doesn't give me XP.
I found a +1 to all int that goes on an int node.
That's big.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Just gave it to a
we've
friend
been-
who was playing an int build, like immediately playing a spell build.
We've been led to assume that that's one of the chase ones, although, I mean, there may still be better ones.
I just think back to Sanctum when it's like chasing the sanctified relics. You know, we were shown them, but I don't know how hard is it to find +1 proj in that situation. Probably incredibly.
Yeah.
Even just CDR, you know, things like that.
Did we ever get the actual correct like mechanics of the +1 projectile one? Because a lot of sources still say that you can
Yeah,
put
it's on trade now.
+1 projectile on every single +10
No,
dags.
no.
It's limit 1.
No,
Limit
it's
1,
not
but is
limit
it
either.
the 30 or is it the 7 adjacent?
It's 7 adjacent.
Oh, so
so
it's
it's
only-
not limited, but there's very few
Well.
places that you'll be able to put it.
So you could theoretically stack like 4 of them, but you would take your entire tree.
Two will be easily doable.
Yeah.
4 will be a stretch. You can do 4, but you have to path pretty weirdly, and you're gonna give up a lot for it. I
And the
don't think it's
jewel?
reasonable to get more than 4.
The jewel might be the better play just to double the tattoo stuff.
Yeah, there are more places than 4. Like in theory, if you just built a tree to get additional projectiles, I think you could do 6, but you wouldn't be like, you know, you wouldn't be a good build if you did that. You
Yeah,
just
6
have
tattoo
more
build.
projectiles.
Yeah.
What about the omen things? Anyone used those yet?
No, all the ones I saw were abysmal. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
all the
like when
ones
you
I saw were
you
not
hit
worth
low
picking
life,
over.
turn on adrenaline for 10 seconds or whatever the fuck. Things like that.
Usually get them at the end of a tournament, right? Like as a
Yeah.
pick between either an omen or a tattoo. And for me, the tattoos were always more appealing. The omen was always some crap.
Like I'd like to like fill my inventory with the cast on death portal ones instead of using a cast on death portal, but they take up inventory space.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was surprised about that. I thought it was gonna be like a trade league socket saver or something.
Yeah, nah. Takes up inventory space. Don't want it.
Missed opportunity.
If it's not more convenient than having 2 sockets in my build, then I don't want it.
Yeah.
I mean that's Path of Exile, though, right? It's just little micro min maxing and saving this there.
When I
Maybe someone's
explained my build on stream for 20 minutes, I found a 1% increased life improvement that took like 10 minutes to figure out how to do.
Mm. Was it
Yeah.
allocating beef? Allocate beef for more life.
It also it made my cluster jewel easier to craft, so I ended up not spending the next 2 days trying to craft my cluster jewel.
Well, that's a positive.
Absolutely. Well, so we're all waiting for improvements and not doing the leap mechanic at this time. I see.
Still
I'm
doing. I
mostly
hate
waiting
myself.
I'm waiting for my items to get cheaper because I need 11 unique items and some of them don't exist yet.
Yeah, I think it's more I'm waiting for build to get better to offset the dysfunctional aspects of the league for me.
Yep.
Okay.
I need a stronger build.
I'm not only waiting for my build to get better, I'm waiting for my build to exist.
I need to try something with evasion in this because, like, since you've been telling me that obviously when you evade, then you don't get interrupted while trying to channel their totems.
Yeah, some of the
that's a
enemies
big
use
one.
spells, so you need to get spell dodge or something. But for the ones that only do attacks, you can have high evasion, and it's really good. I mean, it's not as good as just simply killing them, but if your strategy is to rush all their totems without killing anything, then it's pretty good.
I make a build that does no damage and just has max decoy totems with max life with huge AoE, and then I just run around and plonk those down.
You could theoretically
I'm a little,
level that character to 100.
I'm a little sad with how weak our side of the people are because one of my first thoughts while doing it on the first day was, can I make an Aurabot and just play solo?
Kind of.
And
If you can
I
get
think
there.
the answer is no.
I think if you have a really juiced Grace, this would only work against enemies that only attack. If you had a really juiced Grace and a really juiced Vitality, you might win a battle of attrition.
It's possible.
Maybe. I just wanted to play a solo Aurabot. I just thought it would be very cool to play a solo Aurabot.
The potential is there. You might just need to also use decoy totems.
Yeah, decoy totems last a very long time. They're very tanky.
I don't like
AoE.
I don't like the idea of like not knowing where the enemy's target. Because there's this one guy that like leaps around a little bit like Calm and uses a Sunder and another slam skill, and that guy like always hits in the most unpredictable places. Like I always like try to dodge him and then just still get one shot. I mean,
love
maybe
the
it's something
people
I'm missing.
that are like, this guy has 50% physical overwhelm. He's destroying my Juggernaut. And I'm like, I have no physical damage reduction. He can't overwhelm it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there's other physical reduction that he can't overwhelm because it's like only explicit physical reduction. But if you were to convert the physical damage into another damage type, then you could still reduce that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, seeing that we're kind of at a loss with the league mechanic, we should probably talk a little bit about the Atlas strats and what we're actually doing in order to make the money that we're not making from the league mechanic.
Oh, yes, of course. So I, for one, because my build needs so many flask crafts, I path immediately to the 10 intelligence per map node just so I can spam masterminds. Right next to that is the Vol side area keystone where it makes them modifiable.
Oh,
And
you
so what
tried
I was
that?
doing every map, I would go find a Vol side area, which is white when you take that keystone, alk it, and then Vol it. Which means it's exactly the same as if I hadn't taken the keystone.
Only it costs you an alk and a val.
Because if all you do is alk and vol it, it's going to be as if you hadn't taken the keystone.
Why would you do that?
Well, one, for funsies. Two, I wanted to see if the
Bring a
Vol Orb would do
Twitch chat.
anything other than just corrupt it, and the answer is
Is it
no, it
8
just
mod?
corrupt it.
It doesn't 8 mod? There's no like chance to.
I only did, I think, 4, and nothing happened other than just corrupting it. So it's
Ooh.
either I hit the 1 in 4 chance 4 times in a row, or it doesn't do anything.
That's
Okay.
that's weird. Just don't take that.
My
Did you see
goals
the
are
Trial
beyond your
Master
understanding.
fragment at all, or no?
I'm sorry, what?
When you were doing, did you see the Trial Master fragment roll on your?
I
Val
have not
side
seen the
zone?
Trial Master fragment roll, but my sample size is very small.
I think it was data mine, but
Do you
I've heard
see
it's
any good mods at all?
I've
incredibly
been
rare.
looking for Mahuzatl's machinations on trade like constantly, and so far all of them are foil.
Yeah,
So either people really aren't getting the delve ones, or no, or the mod on the Vol side area is not as common as we believed.
Farmer Trial Master sucks though, so I don't blame people. Ultimately,
I should look for the fragments on trade actually instead of just the shield.
yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any of the Trial Master pieces. I don't know which one comes from what set, or from what place to acquire it. I see 2 pieces that are like 3 or 4 chaos, so those seem to be abundant. What about these 2? 25 to 60 chaos. There's only a few, and then this one is 60 chaos. So you could probably fight the Trial Master right now for about 100 chaos.
Yum.
Which, considering the rate of getting a good unique, that seems expensive.
Always has been.
Yeah, I think I said this on the last podcast when we were talking about stacked decks, and I was like, every gamble in Path of Exile always balances itself out so that it's not worth it over a large number of samples. And Bella was like, that's only true for stacked decks, but it's also true for a lot of bosses, actually.
If your sample size is big enough, sure, but I don't think the economy could handle certain sample sizes. Like Trial Master is one of those where no one out there is running 10,000 Trial Masters. You know.
Yeah, I
because
think this
they
is
go
intentional
destitute by the
design,
time it happens.
where it's like you shouldn't ever be able to attempt it enough for it to approach the lower than investment average return. Like, they want you to do 5 and then get a good drop and then ride the dopamine high of that, or just do 5, not get a drop, go do something else. They don't want you to run 1,000 Trial Masters and hit drop rate.
Yeah, they don't want you to be like expected. Just run this amount and you'll always make money. Which is how like Uber bosses and shit are right now. If you do 1 or 2 of them, you'll probably make nothing. But if you set yourself up and run 500 Uber bosses in a row, you've made big profit, guaranteed. There's no risk.
Okay.
If you're one of the
right
one of the first people to do the Uber boss, even the very common drops will probably be worth a lot. So like the Annihilation's approach, which basically nobody uses, is currently going for over a divine because there's only 6 of them on trade.
Yep.
I need those still.
And then Mahuzotl's was 4 divines yesterday. It is currently 10. There's only 3 of them, and they're all foil. 4, I can't count.
Foiled stuff is all the rare drops right now.
It's a real telling tale, isn't it?
The first 2 headhunters that I saw whoop on trade, both foils. Just 2 foils showed up before there was ever a natural drop.
That's crazy.
Not surprised. It was something like I think it was last thing. There was something like 70% of headhunters came from either div cards or foils, based off of like eye levels and stuff like that. Not surprising.
Right.
Can't say I'm surprised.
So what are you doing on your Atlas, Beller? Tell us,
Legion
lay the
farming.
goodness on us. Legion?
Hard Legion farming.
That's
Oh yeah,
hardly
someone brings up a
something
good
new.
point. We were talking about the Vol side area mod weightings. Sir Gog has a very good video explaining why it's very bad.
Okay,
Very good, very bad.
I'll check it out.
Very good video, very bad farming. Legion.
Yeah. I'm just hard Legion farming as hard as I can.
So all the points in the tree.
All the points in the
not-
tree. A
Not
Legion
the stasis
Sextant, a
notable.
Legion Scarab. Go kill Legions. I will say we are rapidly dropping in price for the emblems, so I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but for now
yeah,
it's still okay.
As soon as you get most of the Legion stuff on the right-hand side of the tree, Legion becomes very nice to farm. And
Yeah.
I will say the 0.2%, 0.2%, 0.6% for splinters to drop as emblems instead. Think of that as double splinter drops. Because it's a 1% chance to drop as 100 splinters instead of 1, so that's basically doubling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Or you could get very lucky and get 5 emblems, like, immediately.
I've been doing ritual with the new keystone. It gives you just the one big page. Big
Yep,
money,
I'm heading
big
for that
page.
next.
That one.
It's
okay.
Is it good?
I like it. It's definitely more fun. I think for solo stuff that's way better than it probably would be for trade, but because it's like there's a lot of small and mid currency you pick up every single time. You can almost always buy out the entire page. I've found like 6 links already from it. The 6th link I'm using currently is from Ritual, but I found a 3 or 4 now, I think. So, and I found a couple higher tier uniques. So it's good, and also the investments in Rituals so little. I have like the chance cluster in the bottom left, and I just have the cluster for the keystone. That's it. And I'm like 8 points or something. So it's pretty low investment, and it has a good bevy. I mean, it basically feels like shit expedition. The experience is probably better, but like the rewards are like shit expedition. Like, I would rather have Tujin targeting. I'd rather have crafted things from Rock. I'd rather have uniques from Gwen. But instead, you get the one big bargain page ritual. And that's fine. It's like brain shut off mechanic. So I don't think it's probably worth it ultimately, but definitely relaxing and don't have to think.
Theoretically, you get more rewards by virtue of reroll costs tribute. So if you never reroll and you just buy everything in the shop, you theoretically get better returns. It's just you're not rerolling the highest value thing. So you're seeing fewer spikes of good rewards, but you're seeing more overall.
Yeah. Yeah, you're spending more tribute on actual rewards and probably also less on deferring, right?
I don't defer at all. You just buy the whole shop. No deferring occurs ultimately. Most times I have 15 to 20,000 favor, so it's like
Also,
not a whole lot is not purchased.
Think of how much faster you're mapping if instead of sitting in the shop window and re-rolling and deferring and picking the most optimal thing, just buy the whole screen every time.
Pretty much. I just start at the top left because that's where the most expensive things are, and I click and that's it. Plus, you can also you can apply your filter to ritual, so it's like it's even more brain dead. So I just click. I click what's not blacked out, and that's it. And then I leave map.
That's definitely gonna be. That's the savior there, is that you're just loot filtering it. You're just like, I'll take that. See ya.
Yep. And there's times where you leave a map with 10,000 favor, but it's like it's fine because unga bunga brain,
Go to your next map, get another 10,000 favor.
Exactly. No problem. That, and I've also been using the rarity conversion keystone. That I feel like is a almost solo self this is like it might be some cracked way it's solved for trade like with MFing, but for like a poor man's MFing and SSF, it's really, really good when a series of stars align. But aside from that, it doesn't seem very good. But I have like the Ghosted Exiles with all the ghost shit, and then Ruckus on. Then I do a Delirious map, and I put in a Gilded Reliquary Scarab. And then I have that on. I have like 800 rarity in the map. And then when it does happen, 1,000 uniques in the map. And that feels cool. But that doesn't happen all the time. Then it's just like kind of a dud otherwise.
It's useful for a very, very specific strategy where for some reason you're going for uniques. Otherwise, you
but
probably
also
shouldn't
like
get that keystone.
Mid-tier uniques, because realistically, you're still not going to hit.
Yeah.
You
still
know.
need a lot of
Still gonna
quant.
hit the good ones.
So I'm
I mean,
trying to
the
get like
more
a
uniques, the more
Dendrobate,
good ones.
That's like for like mid-tier stuff, it feels fun. Also like the dopamine, big
Yeah.
dope.
Dropping 1,000 uniques is pretty fun, even if they're all bad.
Yeah. So I got my free Alva missions early on in the mapping process, and directly made a temple with just a upgrade, the sacrifice, the Apex of Ascension thing, and sold that directly for 30C, and I was fixed. I was like, oh, this was so easy, and basically just a byproduct of me mapping and killing monsters. I'm gonna do Alva again, so I spec'd a little bit into Alva and combining it with some abysses, so that we have like tons of monsters in the map, right, between the incursions and the abysses. And then probably going to layer some delirium or beyond on it. I don't know yet. Also, I don't know if this is something I only do or whether this is a fallacy and you shouldn't do it. But I also always, if I can, I fit in intelligence gathering, where you completing your maps grants intelligence for a random Immortal Syndicate safe house, because it's just passive gain while you're doing your maps, right? And then
I
every
beelined
once in a
that.
while,
That's been like pretty much ever since it was added. Every league in SSF, I would say most people who play SSF just bum rush that and then just leave it on until they're have all their unlocks, and then just it's just such a good passive. It's free, especially if you're blowing like through, because it works no matter what map you're doing. If I do a white map in 30 seconds or do a red map in 5 minutes, it's still 10 intelligence.
There's not even a difference. Okay.
Yeah, and it can also hit, but it can hit a full safe house. So if you're trying to target a specific safe house, and I have research is already full and ready to run, the 10 can go to research, and it's just like a dud that happens. So it's really mostly good if you're doing Katarina farming, but yeah, you can, if you're trying to do targeted stuff, it's a little bit less good.
I was surprised it actually has alt text that says that it can target an already full safe house. Like, it warns you about that on the node.
It does. You are forewarned. No excuses.
I've only ever taken that when I was hard farming Legion myself. Well, not Legion, Jud myself. Like, I've never just like passively.
It's pretty cool to just every so often get a free mastermind when you're not even like targeting it.
Yeah. You just gotta put June next to your map device, otherwise you're not going to see the exclamation mark sometimes.
Yep.
You'll just forget. You're like, oh, what's this?
PoE does not like any other applications running at the same time as itself. It's been a massive pain on anything that I tried to do on the PC that it runs on. But yeah, I just closed it, and so my camera should be moving again. Everything's smooth, right? Yeah, no, that's an intelligence gathering thing is really good, and like every once in a while you feel like, oh, I got to switch something around. Then you pop in Betrayal from the master mission, so you can have a chance to change your setup, and then you just, when everything is nice, you just keep on farming it up until you get those safe houses.
The only
Really
thing
nice.
that's bad about that node is if you manage to do all of the safe houses without ever getting an actual betrayal encounter in your map, you need to run one more betrayal encounter just so all the interrogations tick through, so you get the intelligence for the mastermind. Because you'll have you'll have three captains sitting in the interrogation room to interrogate the mastermind, or to get in mastermind intelligence, and if you get a fourth one, it just gets rid of one of them without giving you the intelligence.
That the level also, if you don't do one, at least the one you don't do it in a red map, you're gonna have a level 70 or whatever it is.
I'm gonna have an item level 69 Katarina, because I've only done the free ones that it gives me. I haven't found June in a map, So all of the safe houses are level 69, and the mastermind is going to be level 69, which works out, I think, for trying to get the Cinder Swallow. But basically, if you do one red map, it'll bump it up to the level of that map.
Bummer, bro.
Yeah, there's a similar mechanic with the Alva Temple, where if you just do like one incursion in a really high map, then that will bump up the level of your final temple by a
So
lot.
if I remember correctly, it used to be, so before there were 3 incursions per map, you had to do like 3 maps and 1 incursion per map to get it to be the correct level. It would do some sort of like average. But now that there are 3 incursions per map, you can do it in 1 map.
Yeah.
If you do 1 and then leave the map, it probably won't go all the way up to the level of the map.
Not? I believe it was like the average of all the incursions that you've done plus 10 capped out at the maximum of the ones
They
that
might
you
have
did.
changed it when they changed incursion, but I remember
Yeah, they
in
may have changed it,
Incursion
but that was
League,
the old that was the old formula, I believe, in incursion.
yes. So like in Incursion League, if you only did 1 high level one and a bunch of low level ones, it would be somewhere in the middle.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. No, I
Ooh.
think like you don't actually need to do that many high level ones. It just bumps it up a lot.
Big bump.
But it's capped at the highest one, so you don't need to do one high one. But yeah, I need to I need to try it. I'll just need to keep track of the levels that I do and see whether the formula still works out, and if not, then see what adjustments need to be made for it to still work properly. Yeah, but any Atlas farming strats you get your eyes on that you want to still tackle anytime soon, or if stuff that you can't talk about probably because you don't want to ruin the market for it?
There are a lot of mechanics that are fun that I want to run and are somewhat profitable. So there are super efficient nodes for specific ones. So instead of going all in on one, I'm getting like the one super good cluster for each of the like 5 mechanics that I like. It's probably not efficient in terms of like money per hour, but it is quite fun to see like your 5 favorite mechanics, at least one per map, and they're pretty good. Not fully juiced, but pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
block-
hoping
I
that
block
the
so
juice
much.
is back. I want to really like heavily juice and see loot on the floor again, because it's been like more than a year since that's been a thing I could do.
You can pretty easily heavy juice Legion, is I think you were agreeing earlier. It's a pretty good idea to juice Legion.
Yeah, Legion seems to be working, but also like the new Beyond Keystone and Delirium Keystone that let the Beyond and Delirium not run out might be enough to make like generic juicing really good again. So I'm hoping to get into that, but I need a stronger character than what I have to do that level of juice.
Yep,
So-
story of my life.
Working on it though.
Yeah, Beyond looks interesting. I might do that a little bit. As I like start to MF, which I kind of want to get a +3 Danger Bait, and it'd be really easy to link it and socket it, etc. with tainted goodness. Seems fun. I'd like the idea of Expedition, the big boom, extreme archaeology, but man,
yeah, but
there's
what
like,
build would you use for that?
well,
Because
that's the
there's so many
problem. So like,
immunities.
I'm playing Vixens, and I for sure cannot do Exped when there can't be cursed non-highlighted subtext that I'll be hitting half the time because it's just nuzzled in there. Like the concept for the big boom for me is a speed and quality of life node where it's like, boom, there's Expedition, big boom, blow it, hit it. And like, I'd have to have a
I
build
didn't
that
come
could
here to
basically,
read.
yeah, I mean, I want a build that's like going to be able to be, immunity proof. And that's maybe some try Ellie thing, just so this, I whiff
Yeah,
all the things, but like there's so many silver bullets in Xped if you're just blowing and going that I don't know if that's going to be like remotely viable.
you basically need Fizz as extra of all 3 elements, and then it's Ziri's Promise. Like, that's basically the only way to be able to never be completely stonewalled.
I don't know why it says immunity. I wish it just said 70% reduced damage. It would get the point across. Like immunity is just so unfun. I mean, the only thing I've had less fun hitting immunity is maybe the 5-second stun in Ancestral. But aside from that, that's hitting immunities by accident's like, oh man. Like,
I don't,
the time
I
to
don't
do the
mind
thing,
it
and
for
it's
that
just-
particular thing in the game because it's like every time you do get it, it's like, oh yeah, that was my mistake. I shouldn't have gotten that. Right. So it's only you can blame yourself.
Yeah, the highlighting scheme though is the annoying part, to be honest. On top of that, because it's like I'm playing a build where Can't Be Cursed ruins the build. I cannot kill a single thing if I hit that. And I wish I could like somehow determine like what's highlighted or something. They clearly have it highlighted for a reason,
right?
Yeah, no, they just cannot be cursed.
Yep.
Hexproof I can kill. Cannot be cursed. That the build does 0 damage to them.
I do
never
wish we
blast.
could select our own colored text for those. That would be actually fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, someone determined which ones were the most important to be able to see, and we were not that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Cannot
whatever's
crit
most
ultimate
important is different for every build. So, like, give me a UI and let me pick them.
Yeah, it could even be integrated with the lore, right? Like just you communicate your list to Danik,
Not the Lord.
and so Danik could actually highlight those mods for you when
Not
there's
the
extra
lore.
Rippy remnants.
That's the same lore written by the guy who calls PoE Po1. It's that same lore.
We had a
Oh,
discussion
wow.
about this. It's like we were having a conversation about the differences between PoE 1 and PoE 2, and it just took so much extra time to enunciate every single time that I was starting to see the appeal in saying Po 1 and Po 2.
Just say 1 and 2 then.
Yeah.
You're talking about Path of Exile.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a given.
Hmm.
They don't have to be
Yeah.
that guy saying Po.
Reminds me of the ExileCon live stream day 1 and day 2 on YouTube with the YouTube generated captions, where when they said PoE 1, it always said puree or Pee-wee.
Oh yeah,
Puree.
man, I get that all the time. My captions say, "Hey guys, Matt and Lady here," half the time. It's like,
Nice.
Better than censoring.
yeah. Hey guys, scissoring.
I want to
There's
look
a
at
lot.
my own
There's-
auto captions.
Yep.
What do they say?
Oh, it gets crangled. You enunciate pretty well, though. I think you might be safe.
Yeah, I have very little background noise on most of them, so. It even got Path of Exile.
Yeah, cat blaster.
Right. Well, there's we went through it in a record time. I guess we all just hyped to get back to play, to get more experience, to to be able to talk more about it.
Progression.
Never stop playing.
Right?
Didn't happen this whole time.
I've been doing the league mechanic. I've made like 4C this whole podcast. It's horrible.
Wow. That's
Let me
only
in.
4C per year.
I need to go back to maths.
I got some nice tattoos, but then my game almost crashed my entire PC, so I just shut it
Oh,
down
man.
so I can do the
Performance
podcast.
is on something this league. Something's up.
Yeah, I thought it was only my computer, but I've definitely heard from other people as well that performance is not up to what it used to be, which is sad because I'm really having fun, a lot more fun than I
And you
had in
deserve.
past leagues in this year.
And
It
you
feels
deserve.
like-
Is that what you said?
It's so inconsistent for different people. I've had 0 performance issues the whole time, and I just sort of feel bad about it because you have all these people like, oh, the ground isn't
You
rendering.
don't deserve it. You don't deserve the issues. Cat
Neither
should know
do
you
they.
did. Cat does.
Oh
Cat
yeah,
does.
I found a funny auto-generated caption in one of my videos. Obviously, it doesn't know the unique item Ngamahu's sign,
Oh boy.
not
Yeah.
a word that exists. So it's Toon Yama Foos.
Oh
and
no.
Yama Fu is a proper noun. It's capitalized.
What?
Like a Fu Manchu.
YAMA space FU.
Yamaha.
But yeah, did you guys also have longer load screens on day 1? Sometimes
Yes.
I had minutes load screens. It was-
Significantly.
And those
So
seem to have
what I
gotten
did
better.
was when the performance patch came out, I loaded a bunch of zones over and over because I knew it would like the shader cache would be cleared or something. And so for some reason doing that was enough. So my loading screens in town were only like 4 seconds at worst.
Mm,
Damn.
big loader.
I assume everyone that's complaining about this has done all of the obvious troubleshooting steps, like having
What are
game
the obvious
SSD.
troubleshooting steps?
Oh, turn it off, turn it back on.
There were some people that said that their setting for shadows changed from the default to global illumination without them doing that, and that was causing a lot of problems. Personally, I'm inclined to believe that they said it like that and forgot.
Global illumination?
Yes,
Dude,
but there's a
global
shadow
illumination
settings.
used to be so good.
Default is just shadows, and then the more intensive setting is shadows plus global illumination.
Is that like global
It's a
elite?
much more intensive lighting system.
Mine was set to that, and it never has been. I just did it right then. I just changed it back.
Shadows.
Yeah,
Wait,
some
hold on.
people
Shadow.
are saying for some reason that setting in particular causes a very wide array of performance
Where is
problems.
it? Where is it located?
In graphics, your
It's
shadow
under lighting.
it
Where the
should be
shadow
under
setting
shadows.
is, you can do shadows and global illumination, or just shadows default.
Make sure everyone yells it at me at the same time so I can really understand it.
Yep.
When you
I
hit
did hear.
options and it opens up the graphic settings, it's in the
Yeah.
middle of the page that it opens to. Like
That's because
it's
you're on an
right
extra
there.
wide monitor. I can't see it. It's not my monitor. It's different.
It says lighting, and then it's
Anyway,
either
so
shadow
some
default
people-
or shadow and global.
For some people like me, that makes very little FPS difference. For some people, that means that their CPU is being maxed out.
Yeah. I got a new CPU on the table over there. We're building a new PC for this.
Ooh.
This is going to be, well, I mean, half a new PC. I'm still going to use the old graphics card and all that, but like,
What are
yeah.
you gonna do in the new
I-
computer?
Hmm?
What's the new computer for?
For Path of Exile, hopefully.
That was for Deep Rock Galactic.
Nah, Deep Rock Galactic runs like a charm on this.
That old shit box. Rock and Stone, baby.
You've been playing?
No, I haven't played in a while. I play whenever there's a big content up there. I just want to like kill new shit in the game, but they don't.
Well, they just released a new season where
Is there new
they
shit to
added like
kill?
so many new monsters. Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna go kill some new shit after, a month of Path.
Yeah. Let me know. I'll join in on the fun.
Gotta Rock and Stone. You're gonna be on a German server though.
I'll play with the US ping. I'm fine.
You'll take the burden, the mighty burden.
I'm best scout EU West.
You're not gonna be on EU West. You're gonna be on US East.
But I'm the best one from EU West.
Yeah, you used to be in your little pond, but now you're in the big ocean, baby.
All right.
You're in the big Rock and Stone ocean.
I got the big stage to show off.
Yeah,
It's
that's
gonna
true.
be great.
Put you on the global stage.
Nah, exactly.
But can
that's-
your PC run old school RuneScape
Crisis.
with all of the
Okay.
HD plugins on?
You play with HD on? Oh my God.
Not
Quit.
HD, the 117 HD.
Yeah.
Which
Better.
you can apparently tune it to use 100% of your available CPU regardless.
Mm-hmm. I like old fashioned RuneScape. None of that fanciness.
I
All right,
killed
1%
goblins
spell
for,
block.
Yeah.
1% spell
goblins
block
for
to
10
2 or 2
minutes.
chaos.
and got the champion scroll. So now I'm killing imps.
Good. Your little goblin.
My brain can't think about any other games other than PoE when PoE launches.
Yep.
That's fair.
I'm
It's like other
basically
games
just
don't
waiting
exist
for
for the first
prices
month.
to go down. So it's okay for
And
me.
that's
to take
Matsuwaddle's going to be a rough one. I think that's going to be a little bit of a wait for you.
Yep, it was 4 divines and now it's 10 divines. And since there's only like 4 of them, you can set whatever price you want.
It's unfortunately it's used It's actually best in slot for a lot of builds, and not just the
Yeah.
Yosis meme
It's
of the week.
not like the Annihilations approach where it's
No.
going to be only me.
No, it's also I think a 5% drop off of Trial Master.
Which is better than Hateforge, but only just.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to cater to
Roll
Worst
a
the
new
case
build.
scenario, I rebuild one Quackman 3.0 and kill Trial Master a bunch.
Yeah, that's what I would
you
suggest.
could,
Is like
you could kill
your
Trial
own
Master
SSF farmer.
on almost any character. Man's
My current character, absolutely not.
you sure?
I mean,
Can you
it's
default
a
attack?
mildly tanky Poison Prolith Pathfinder, and
Hmm.
I'm running rags for gear right now. So in order to save up currency for the actual build,
That's fair. Why don't you petition the viewers in the most illegal TOS way possible?
so I try not to like solicit donations and accept donations for a build that I anticipate other people actually being able to try. There were a couple of builds where it was like, oh, the one Quackman project and stuff. I'm spending 250 divines crafting a ring that gives me a 3% DPS increase. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay using donated currency for that. Like,
Well.
I'm basically throwing it into a
I
bonfire.
guess there's no other choice. You're gonna have to start the OnlyFans account to fund the path build.
What's that site called? Wait, Cameo. Do we do a cameo?
You
I
could do
could.
cameo. You could do cameo. Probably
Yeah,
more
at
reputable
least you
than
get
the
the voice.
OnlyFans.
It feels slightly more reputable than Fiverr.
Yeah. Fiverr's like the dollar store, though. It's not even always $5, even though it's called Fiverr.
Yep.
If you're doing anything on Fiverr for $5, you're short selling yourself.
Probably.
Depends.
Probably.
I mean, if it really literally takes you like a minute to do.
A lot of $5 bills.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Is there any big changes that you're looking forward to? Anything that you want to still discuss in terms of the game before we round things off and call it a day here?
I hope this league is patched appropriately, both in effect and in timeline. And I hope
Yeah,
it doesn't
I'm
last
glad-
4 months.
Most of the problems with the league mechanic are very simple changes if they were to fix it in the way that we expect them to. Like, it's not, oh, the whole league mechanic is fundamentally broken and has to be redone from the ground up. It's more like, oh, we just need some numbers changes and a couple of AI changes.
That's the good news, is the base league mechanic is actually a really good idea. Like it's functioning mostly well. So
we're generally optimistic is what I'm saying.
yeah, I'm in that boat too. Like, I don't really want to do the league mechanic right this second, but I would love to be focused on the league mechanic like a lot.
I would like to want to do it. Like I just don't like,
Yeah.
I'm in love with it, but I don't feel compelled to do it.
Well, massive shout out to letting us just stockpile 500 silver coins. So when it's not shit, I could run it.
That is a
I
huge
mean, that's
positive.
like, my gripes, I wish, I could put them somewhere that was maybe, next to my forbidden tomes that are amassing in my stash, but at least we could save them. And that feels good because it's like, all right, I want to go do, ancestors. Let me just sit there. And also, thankfully, it pulls from the stash. I was so worried that I would have to have them on me.
I didn't know
while
that.
I'm doing
That's pretty good.
Oh, it pulls
It's
from
pull-
I've been
it
pulling
pulls
them
from the
out every
stash.
time. Just
You
assuming.
goddamn noobs. No, you can't pull from the stash.
assuming.
Yeah.
I just assumed it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a right. History would agree with you, but this time it pulls from the stash. So there's that level of quality of life. You don't have to have them on you. One more slot. You can put your Omen, your Cast on Death Portal Omen on.
Yeah, you also, I don't know, is that what you just said? That you don't need to actually expend a coin to go here? Like, unlike rope markers where you actually consume the rope marker.
Yeah.
You only need to
I could
use
just-
one to get the waypoint, and then you can just go there.
Yeah, fair
from
enough,
the
fair
waypoint.
enough.
You have to enter the airlock though, which is I'll repress that one, but It does get you close.
Ooh. Well, I'm in the middle of a battle here right now. I got tempted by Balor Mage. It's Balor Mage always taunting me with the fact that he's always playing during these podcasts, and that makes me feel like I'm missing out on valuable playtime. But obviously, as a podcast host, I shouldn't be playing while I'm sitting here and supposed to be running the show. But I'm winning it, so that's a good thing.
Hey, well, we're cheering you on. I mean, it's not that he's always playing; it's just that he doesn't stop. So it's a different state, you know.
Don't even know how.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it's because the gloves. You got the gamer gloves. The gamer gloves make you go.
Yep. That's the one.
That's almost like it's against TOS. You know, you have these performance-enhancing drugs on you.
It's just dressing for success, dude. It's the mental confidence boost.
I know. This is like, you know, a rugby player
like cosplaying for league start.
Full football equipment. It's not fair.
I have something that can fill time for a good 30 seconds. I forgot in my build explanation earlier to mention that I'm actually using Cosprey's Will to its full effectiveness. The build scales evasion rating a lot, and so the 2,500 evasion rating you get from Cosprey's Will is pretty good.
Nice.
I care about the curse limit because I'm auto casting 3 curses with my spellcast loop, and curses being able to apply to hexproof enemies is huge, and 100% chance to poison against a cursed enemy is almost all of my damage. Like, based on my passive tree and my gear, without the Cosprey's Will, I would have a 15% chance to poison. So 85% of my chance to poison is coming from that one modifier. So I'm using all of the mods on it to, I would say, their full effectiveness, and it doesn't have a life modifier on it, so you're able to use the 15% increased life mastery.
Yep. Fair enough. Yeah, I always forget that one. Like
I don't. It's great. I love that one.
So
I mean, if I actually make a build, I probably won't forget it. I'm just like, when I'm looking at chest pieces that don't have a life mod, I always forget the mastery.
Yeah,
I'm always glad when I'm able to find like a best in slot argument for an item that I've never used before. Like, one of my proudest accomplishments is making a build where Worm Sign was best in slot. The build was garbage, but the Worm Sign was best in slot in that build.
Wow.
Best worm.
Something's buggy right now.
So that is to say, I'm particularly proud of Cosprey's Will being used effectively in this build because I've never used it before.
Yeah.
I almost picked one up today. I saw it and I was like, do I want this? This would save me 1 passive. And I realized that it would give me nothing else I care about, really. So
it's a surprisingly strong chest considering it's worth nothing.
Yeah, that's another good thing. I get to double corrupt 1 billion of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for free. They're actually worth nothing.
If you single corrupt 2 of them, you could use a fusing to combine them.
Ah, yes. The little known vendor recipe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't show up in the window as what you're going to get.
No, it's in the tutorial though. You gotta look at the path tutorial. It's in there.
Yeah, you see
someone's
the little
gonna hear
I
that and believe
on
it.
On the bottom right of your screen on the UI, there's a little I button for the tutorials. I mean, it flashes yellow when there's a tutorial, and no one notices it anyway.
It's the eye of fusing. I mean, listen, Baylor, I convince people that using certain color combinations would equal 6 links. So the average player is a special breed.
And what you got to do is, you know how on your abilities, support gems show up as a specific character, and then you can reorder the gems in your links to spell different words.
Yep.
If you spell certain words, it does more damage.
Fun fact, also, that's how you pick guild tags, is you have to feed it maps that have different letter denominations.
Is that still in place, that outdated system? I haven't changed my guild tag in so long.
Path of Exile, yeah, it's still in place.
We
Still
have an
runs.
actually good question here. I fear the answer is no, but anyone know if tattoos show up on the skill tree in someone's profile on the PoE website? I mean, no, there's no official support
I
yet,
wouldn't
right?
know.
Probably the website. The website itself, if you were to open a profile and view a tree where it shows all the jewel sockets, that typically has everything. But most third-party websites that view trees from profiles typically
I
won't show it.
honestly think they'd only do it if it was like a permanent addition, but I'm curious now, so I'm going to check.
Who knows?
Any changes
They-
to this little tree
yeah.
viewer on their website is almost always undocumented, but so far they've been pretty good about keeping it updated.
They
'Cause
didn't
it's
show
like
crucible
the
trees for
official tree
context.
viewer.
So
Yeah.
you didn't have crucible trees.
I don't think they show up in Path of Building, which is what really matters.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
the
do.
website
Oh,
will.
wow, you guys are right. They're actually on the official page, guys. You gotta
Whoever
check it
keeps
out.
that updated is doing a fantastic job.
That's me. You're welcome.
So this
I
is
said
showing the tattoos that are on my skill tree.
I still don't have a single tattoo on.
In game or IRL?
In game,
What about in real
Both.
life?
I have one tattoo in real life now. I got
Is
it
it,
this year.
What is it?
A toucan.
Nothing yet. It's,
What? I'm getting mixed
well-
signals.
Almost nothing yet. It's a little honeycomb thing on my arm, and
Oh.
it's going to get filled in from different tattoo artists.
I just thought that was like your compression glove, but like a sleeve, like a full arm thing.
No, it's going to get filled in from different
So
tattoo artists.
each
and
cell
different
is going to
style.
have its own like. Each cell is going to be done like a different dude. They're going to
Yep.
do their own little thing. What kind of things you put like a chaos orb in there? Like what kind of things
Oh
you're
no,
going to get?
I'm going to let them decide.
Oh
Ah.
God. Well,
That's playing a dangerous game, but at least it'll be
Yeah.
a good story.
Who knows what it'll look like?
I mean, there's yeah. It's gonna bite my tongue.
Look, I'm not saying it's a good plan. I'm just saying it's the plan.
But every fiber in my body wants to say things.
The Lighty listened when they said, "If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all."
I don't listen. I don't ever listen. Sounds good, Baylor. Good idea.
All
Are you at
right.
least gonna like vet the shops, or is it just
Yeah.
gonna be like okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna pick ones that I like generally like the art style of,
Mm,
right? And then let that person do whatever they want.
mm.
I wanted to get one thing. I just remembered before we end the podcast. So Balor and I were both at ExileCon. I want to make sure because a lot of people were next to me without knowing that they were next to me, and I want to make sure that the 2 or 3 times that we met, you actually knew that it was me.
Not the first time.
Not the first time because no one knew it was me the first time, and I couldn't I was trying to figure out how to introduce myself at the first one. The first one is also when I walked up and took like a big fistful of your badges.
Yo. Yeah, no, the first time I had no idea, but after that I did.
Yeah, so when we met late at the after party, you did know that that was me. Okay. Because I was probably next to a lot of people that knew of me, but did not know that that was me right in front of them.
Yep.
Well, you were dressed like a fucking cyborg, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I was I was
And
wearing
some
a
weird
full
helmet on.
visor.
Weird helmet. He was the third Daft Punk. How dare you?
Yeah, I was discount Daft Punk. I was discount Mass Effect Quarian cosplay.
That's a bit more hard to digest.
Yeah, that one you
How'd
have to
they
have
even-
actually played Mass Effect.
How'd they even allow you in there like that? Like you wouldn't be allowed in the
so
bank, right?
The guy at the front actually had me take it off and show my photo ID, but it was quick enough, and I was like covering the sides of my face that nobody else saw.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that one guard was there the whole time. So like when I went to go do the meet and greet with Chris Wilson and Bex, that one guard was there. So they knew that I was allowed to be there, but they still surrounded me when I was next to Chris.
Well, they knew the guy wearing that mask was allowed to be there.
Yeah.
That's true.
It could have been
They didn't verify
terrorist,
again that it
like,
was me.
You know,
I could have swapped my mask with someone else.
they gotta, if they start getting like bigger conventions, they gotta not have that happen realistically. That's like the ultimate red flag. Even more so, the gym QR code thing is like that's mind-boggling still.
So there's a certain amount of faith rather than completely vetting everything that ever happens ever, because like, for example, Jim brought the toucan cards that had the toucan copy pasta on the front and a link to his socials on the back, and it was a QR code, and the QR code is to a link tree which has like all of his socials, including an OnlyFans. And so he would hand the toucan card to people, including GGG employees, and one of the employees was like, "Oh, it's security company policy. I'm not allowed to scan QR codes." And then we go to meet Chris Wilson, and we had Chris Wilson a card, and he immediately takes out his phone and scans it. And everyone's like, "Chris, no!"
Yeah,
and he's like,
absolute
"Oh, link tree,
dingus.
that's scary."
He does a lot of things that he's not supposed to do though.
So, it's funny because like the very, very first Path of Exile meetup, when it was like 30 people there, I went to it in San Francisco, and I want to say it's John. Who's the guy in charge of Path 2 now? Is that Jonathan or no? What's it? Mark? Which one's that? He's like the beard, the glasses. Jonathan, right? I think it's Jonathan.
I'm pretty sure it's Jonathan.
All right, it was him and Rory, the two people that were there, pretty much, and they were people were buying Chris beers because it was like at a bar, which is like, that's normalish. He's like, we're here to talk to them, and let's buy you a beer. And Chris was just accepting all the drinks random people were giving him, and they were like, no, you can't just take.
No, you can't do that. You can let someone buy you a beer, but you have to get it from the bartender.
Yeah, no, they were just handing him
for it, not stuff. You don't take it out of some random person's hand.
Yeah, it was. So he's just like that, which is fine. It's just
I guess he's not used to being a VIP.
There's another story I can't really tell on stream, but I'll tell it afterwards. It's about Chris, but it's fine. But him with trading, I have a mutual friend who, I guess I could tell it. We have a mutual friend. I can't name.
I'll
I can't name the
person. If you don't.
Okay, so I have a mutual friend I can't name, but he facilitates a lot of trading card procurement that Chris has used him before. And I attend these conventions and stuff with him. And there's oftentimes, and this happened, I think last year, where you'll have, like, Chris will be at a convention walking around with a box, like a deck box of trading cards, 200, 300 grand worth of trading cards in them, just walking around by himself. And it's like no sense of, urgency, no sense of someone could steal this, someone could rip me off, whatever. So there's like a level of oblivious bliss that he kind of just has as he's seemingly floating around.
We must clarify that at ExileCon, he had a personal bodyguard that followed him around because that was necessary.
Yeah, he probably should at this point.
So the security that were working the event were like, they had to sleep at some point, right? So there were like after parties and people went to bars, and the security was like, we need to like go home and go to sleep, please. So we can't just leave the event open until 1 a.m.
Makes sense.
So that's why he was at a bar by himself.
Yeah.
He made the conscious decision to go there without security.
My favorite ones from Chris was he got to the end of the deck of the trading card things that he was running.
Yeah.
And I know the person who like took the last one off him. And then he was like, "Oh, I was explicitly told not to hand out this last card in the deck, the bit that wasn't part of the game but had a bunch of other information in it." He's like, "I'll get in a lot of trouble if I hand this out." And then the person went, "Well, then that's definitely the one I want."
Yeah.
And he just handed it over anyway. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. I'd get in even more trouble if it was signed." and then it just got handed back to him, and he signed it. He doesn't care about the rules.
He's a maverick.
He's
So
he's
now
something.
it got handed out, and it's signed.
Something, all right. I do feel like at times these events he should have like a carer, someone just to help him out when these things are happening. No more scanning QR codes. No more handing out confidential information.
To be fair, he did not click on the QR code. He only scanned it to see what it was.
True,
But
also,
he's
to
like,
be
"Oh, I
fair,
probably
if
shouldn't
that was
do that on my work
malicious,
phone."
it probably would have. It could have probably, you know.
Well, I
next
can't wait
episode,
to meet him then tomorrow.
Yeah.
I
If I get
hope
a
I
picture
get,
of
I get
watch
some
out
words
for
in.
him.
I mean,
He
it's probably
needs
going to be so
protecting.
big, dude. It's
He does.
probably going to be so big.
Your
They said they have
guardian
like a
angel.
table with 40 seats reserved, and that's not gonna be enough. But then again,
Nope.
it's hard to tell. We talked about it. Yeah, I'm excited.
Good.
It's also supposed to be a decent restaurant.
Very nice.
So, any fun stuff happening? Anyone still streaming for the rest of the night
Oh,
or
yeah.
day?
We're only halfway through the day.
Not in the real world. Nighttime over here.
America is the only real country.
Well, I have to have the American response, you know. I'm gonna go to bed.
I got things to do.
I'm gonna go to sleep. It's late. Maybe clean. Chores. Nothing fun.
I'm
But then
regretfully employed.
gainfully employed, as we're supposed to say.
Right. Well, I think this was great. Thanks for sharing, especially the part at the end where you shared all these stories about Chris. That was the best. But it was also great to have you here just to talk about the league mechanic and make a little bit more sense of it. And I'm now a little bit more excited to play it, but also I want the buffs now that you confirmed for me that there's no carrot at the end of the stick and then no carrot at the...
It could be a carrot.
There could be a carrot.
Could be a hidden carrot.
I got a 6-link earlier, but it was a Valerie Gallia 6-link, but then it was only eye level 70, so it was like, oh yeah, great.
I'm quite confident that it'll be easy enough to buff the league mechanic rewards that they'll do it. And since the mechanic is so good, I also feel confident that they'll bother to do it because people want to play it. I want to play it. Just make it rewarding, please.
All right. With that said, should we do our recommendations?
For what?
For what?
I don't know. Like
Oh,
for the viewers.
go see Oppenheimer.
Right? Recommendations of what?
I'm still trying to figure out how to see Oppenheimer and Barbie at the same time on two separate
Barbenheimer?
screens.
Oh boy,
I haven't seen either of them. I want to see them both at the same time.
I haven't seen either of them either. I don't know.
Isn't one way shorter than the other?
Sure.
You have to time stretch, or you have like one black screen on this. I mean, you can
just
get like VR glasses
You
and then
just reloop it.
watch one on one side and the other one on the other side, right? Like one per
Once
eye.
Barbie runs out, you just reset Barbie and watch it again.
All right.
What did you mean, though? I just don't understand.
Well,
Yep. It didn't mean anything.
Basically,
I was just like,
he wants
do
us
you
to
want to recommend?
self-advertise?
Oh yeah, you could
No,
also
he said
recommend your
recommendations.
You
I
could also
recommend watching
recommend your own
Yosis. There you go.
I recommend watching Lighty. Boom. Done.
I also actually recommend watching Yosis, especially the videos.
As opposed to
Yeah,
One
my
stream or
streams are basically just a jukebox
Once
at the
a year.
moment because my build is not anywhere close to done.
Because a lot of
And
the
I'm a
streamers
small enough
working out
streamer
how to
that I
make
don't
the
get
meme
DMCA
work.
claims for live music.
that's fair. You working
Right?
out how to have it?
The stream is a lot of working out how to make the weird meme work. The video is I made the weird meme work.
hmm
So that's the best bit.
So I mostly just started streaming for like this is the behind the scenes because people are like, how difficult was this to level with? Pretty difficult, it
Yeah.
turns out.
Yeah. That's fair.
And also, if you can see each individual step that I took towards making it work, it's easier to replicate.
True.
Checks out.
That is great. Yeah, no, it's also streams are really good so that you don't have to locally record footage. It's like nice to have your online archive of your play sessions, and then you can just cherry pick from it for videos.
You could
Let's see
also
what I do.
replay buffer. That helps.
So you'd think that's what I do, but my VODs have like the Twitch chat in it, and they're pretty low bit rate, and my builds tend to have a lot of visual artifacts.
Yeah,
The
true,
Destroyer
there's
of
a lot on,
Algorithms,
yeah,
one of my
yeah.
builds was called, because it made Twitch unwatchable. So I have my stream going and Shadowplay replay buffer going at the same time, and
Yeah.
I'll hit the Shadowplay button if I hit a clip.
Replay buffer is good. I use that also. I use it on OBS, but same. Very helpful.
All right. Well, I wholeheartedly recommend playing the League, but I also recommend having a bombing build for the League mechanic, and of course a kick-ass PC, because the performance is requiring one. I definitely hope they're performance patching the performance patch, but I'm definitely hyped to play more than I am on any of the previous launches, and I enjoyed Sanctum quite a bit. But this one actually has me feeling hyped, like the Incursion launch almost. I don't know why, because it has nothing to do with Incursion, but I don't know.
I like how much more accessible Sanctum is. It's less that you need to do 32 maps to do one Sanctum. It's you can just buy a Sanctum.
Mm-hmm.
You get actually a free Sanctum when you arrive in Act 10, right?
Yeah, you get a free one.
A free floor 1, and then that one spawns the rest of the floors.
So even if you're still just accumulating silver coins right now and waiting for the League mechanic to be changed, the Sanctum League mechanic alone is worth playing the League.
Oh, yeah. Sanctum OP, but that's my one regret about starting a bow build, is that I can't go and do Sanctums because it's quite shit for that. At least
I don't do
until
enough
I've got
damage.
Giga
I
Strong
took
gear.
like 70 resolve damage killing one enemy.
Yeah. Tell you what, if you started my Poison SRS though, fucking get in that shit. Get into the Sanctum. They cost like 2C. Every time you'll walk out with like half a divine minimum. Just don't even map. Just Sanctum all day.
I think that's one of my goals for this league, is to make a Sanctum build, but it can't be Poison SRS. I want to make something else.
It can be, and it should be. But you can make something worse if you want.
I played it before.
I made a build that was theoretically good at Sanctum, except it completely covered the screen in spell effects, so you couldn't dodge anything.
But yeah. Thanks everyone for coming on. I think this is going to be the third attempt to tie things together, and we're going to end the podcast here because Leidy needs to sleep, Joseph needs to work, Valor needs to play, and I think I'm actually really tired as well. And I don't want to be tired tomorrow, so I want to be well rested for the fan meetup, right? And I'm just gonna say, Fated Connections, a great podcast. Watch it, listen to it. It's on Spotify. It's on all the platforms that you could want it on. And if it's not, then let me know. Then maybe we can change that. Also, of course, you can support the creation by supporting each of the creators that comes onto this podcast, or Balor and me to support the ongoing creation. And there was something else I wanted to say. Check out these guys, all the content, and I shouldn't be doing these this late. Next podcast is coming. I have not locked it in completely, but if you follow me on Twitter or somewhere else, I'm sure I'm going to let it be known as soon as we figured out when it is. Probably now on the weekend, probably going to be talking more about first impressions and league strats and big currency making. But until then, stay tuned. Have a wonderful time in your league. And thanks again, Leidy, Joseph, for coming on. It was a great time.
Wait.
Yep.
I have to clarify.
Oh, boy.
My name is pronounced Yozis.
Yoses. Okay.
I
No
deliberately
hard
did
J.
not pronounce my name in any of my videos because I thought it would be funny if people mispronounced my name. But then I'm trying to introduce myself at ExileCon, and nobody knows how my name is pronounced.
You
So
were
I have
really
to show
happy with
people
me
my
at
badge
ExileCon
before they
that I
understand.
got it right.
You should just spell it with a Y then. Then everyone would say Yoses.
But that's how it's actually spelt. It's a real name.
Well, I misspelled it, but it is originally a real name. Yeah, so
Makes sense.
in Lithuanian, the name Juozas, Juozas, is the origin of the username Yozis.
That's what does it mean?
It means Joseph. It's just a name.
Like the guy in the Bible.
Yep. That is my real English name.
What happened to not doxing yourself?
The name Joseph is so common.
Yeah, fine for the name Joseph. Okay.
It's a slippery slope.
Could be anybody. I mean, he could be next door. You know, who
I could
knows?
also just be lying. You never know.
Also true.
That person you met at ExileCon might not have been me.
You send an imposter.
Literally sent a buddy. Just say you me the whole time. It's fine.
They
Don't
had
worry about it.
they had like a microphone, like a speaker in the mouth part of the mask, and I was speaking through it the whole time.
It's actually just they just had like a button in the suit somewhere that would say "Salutations, Exile."
Oh yeah, I
but in your
pre-recorded
voice.
all of the lines.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Well, anyway, guys, check out the amazing content from all these people. And yeah, I do know there is a FATED coming. I just don't know when. So have a wonderful time. And until soon again, bye bye.